Good morning, everybody. I will just make sure that everybody has been.
Morning, Helen.
Hi. Oh, cute baby. Love a cute baby. Right, yeah.
Morning, Helen. Got on eventually.
Oh, well done. Yeah, there we go. Right, I have disabled the waiting room, so everybody can just come in as they need to. So let me take that out of the way. I've already done screen share, so everybody should be able to see the PowerPoint. And by some small miracle, it's 9:30. Right, okie dokie. So if you just want to stick yourselves on mute whilst I just do the presentation, and then we can all unmute at the end, and anybody can ask any questions. I have got the chat box open, so if anybody wants to type anything in as we go, then by all means do. And I'm keeping my fingers, toes, and everything else crossed that the internet is beautifully broad this morning, and that the mice are pedaling hard for me. So, because anybody who knows, living in a slightly rural location, sometimes the little broadband mice have to pedal a lot harder some mornings. So without much further ado, let me get cracking. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming along today. I really do appreciate you giving up your time. So are you ready to learn a little bit about the secrets of resilience? Are you ready to become a little bit more resilient and to hear about the bounce model of resilience and how it can help you and your reflexology practice to not just survive but thrive during these weird times that we are currently living in? So, a little disclaimer: if you already have existing medical mental health problems or psychological conditions that you see a therapist or a GP for, or the community psychiatric team on a regular basis, then before you go changing anything based on any tips or anything that you pick up in this training, it's always advisable to chat that through with whoever it is that's helping you work through and live with these challenges. As in any training situation, any information from the training that you take on board should always be used on the basis of a common sense approach to your own personal circumstances. So let me tell you a little bit about me for those who don't know me already. I started my career back in the 1980s by running away to join the army, basically. I, like a lot of teens, was more than ready to leave the nest, and I wasn't 100% certain about nursing. It was something that I kind of thought I wanted to do, but really I actually really wanted to do is I wanted to go to drama school, but that was vetoed big time. And nursing was actually the thing that my mother was quite keen for me to do. So after discussion with my very wise grandfather, who was ex-army, he suggested that if I was going to do this, if I did my nursing in the army, if for some reason I didn't like nursing, at least I would still have a roof over my head and a job. As once you've done the basic training, you know, if you're towing the line and you're a good person, then they don't generally want to get rid of you. It's very good advice. And I have to say, I did love nursing and I loved my time in the forces, and I had the privilege of working in a number of military hospitals, including time spent abroad, and served for around about 6 years when unfortunately, due to some fairly archaic rules that existed then, I had to leave on marriage, as they called it, because I had the audacity to marry somebody who was senior to myself. And if we wanted to stay married, then we would be posted to completely different corners of the universe. You know, it's like when you're young and in love, you just go, oh no, it's fine. So resigned from the army, and but out of adversity always comes opportunity if we just look for it. And I have been very privileged with my nursing qualification that it's given me some opportunities to work in everything from school nursing, occupational health, cancer care, child health promotion, repatriating people from abroad, travel insurance, and also an area called health informatics, where I taught nurses and doctors how to use decision support software to support them in their consultations, both face-to-face and over the telephone. And that was interestingly where my journey with reflexology started, because it was quite a stressful role, and somehow I ended up running the UK side of the software development company, and it was very stressful. And I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and my consultant suggested that my symptoms had been adversely exacerbated because of my stress. Now, at the time, as well as finding myself as a managing director with no real plan to have got to that position, I was also lone parent to 3 primary school aged children. I had an ex-husband who was a recovering alcoholic with quite chronic mental health problems. And the company that I was, the UK part and the American part and another subcontracting company, were all being sold as a package. So actually it would have been a lot easier if somebody had maybe asked me to organise a trip to the moon. I could probably have organised that, but sorting my own stuff out, oh, that was a different kettle of fish altogether. And I remember ringing a friend suggesting that this thing called reflexology might help, and I found a local reflexologist in our parish magazine and rang her pretty much in tears, saying that I desperately needed something to sort my stress out, that I heard this thing called reflexology would, but actually I couldn't actually work out when I could fit an appointment in because my diary was so back to back. And bless her, she was like, what do you do on a Saturday morning? And I was like, oh, well, you know, by the time I've done the ballet run and the dog walk and everything, he was like, okay, just, I will come round at 10:30. She said, put the kids that are at home in front of the telly with a snack. And she said, we will try to do as much reflexology as we can. And let's just take it from there. And, well, Mary, she was an absolute godsend, and introduced me to the wonders of reflexology. I slept I went to bed at 5 o'clock on the evening after I'd had my first reflexology session, after the kids had gone to their dads, and I woke up at 10 o'clock the next morning. So I think we could safely say I needed that reflexology. And then when the company sold, I decided that actually I was done with being a high-powered executive stroke nurse stroke, really couldn't face doing any of those things, and so retrained in reflexology and qualified in 2007. So with my reflexology, I've been very passionate about the AOR and being a group leader, a board member, and more recently a staff member until the redundancies in the summer. So reflexology, I think, is probably one of the most amazing therapies, and I think certainly now more than ever people definitely need us as reflexologists. outside of work, my reason for putting one foot in front of the other over the years has been very much my 3 kids. This was us at a Christmas market, which we do rather love going to, but I'm not quite sure when we're next going to be able to go travelling together. And then my little dog, Galinda. Now, this is an example of how, as a self-employed small business, publicity can be really helpful. I'm part of a group where journalists regularly ask people for if they have experiences in a certain area for a story that they're doing. And this was one for the Daily Mail where some celebrity had said that they preferred their dog to dating, and they wanted to know if there are any other women out there who also felt the same. So me and Galinda got ourselves in the Daily Mail, and it did result in new clients because it was I had 2 people phone up as a direct result of reading the story and wanting reflexology, and then also ended up in the local newspaper as well. So you know, even the most obscure PR can help your business. So what are we going to do today? Well, today very much about resilience, and my journey with resilience started in 2011 when I was part of a coaching mentoring program. I trained in coaching and neuro-linguistic programming and a number of energy modalities called thought field therapy, reflective repatterning, havening, to help not only with my own stress, but also with the stress of some of my clients, because I'd realized that reflexology is great, but sometimes people needed psychological help and support as well. And so I'd gone off and done all this training, and then I was part of a coaching mentoring group, and the guy that was running it suggested that we should all take what we knew and what we were using with our clients on a regular basis and put it down in a book, and we had just 90 days to do that, from the first kick-off planning session to holding your published book in 90 days. Now obviously it's self-published, but you know, it was fantastic, and I still have them today. I've only got 2 copies of this left because unfortunately I had a great big crisis of confidence. I for a couple of years really worked that bounce back ability, did lots of speaking engagements, won awards, all sorts of things, and then had in 2014-15 had a real crisis of confidence and decided that actually self-employment wasn't for me. I was quite happy to keep my reflexology ticking along and the odd coaching client, but just didn't want to do everything myself, and so I went to work for a charity for a few years instead. And that was actually brilliant because I did get to be a committee member on a NICE guideline update for multiple birth pregnancies. I was also the patient-specific expert on a number of big research projects related to multiple births and also fetal surgery as well. And so again, even when life throws us a curveball, there is always wins in there. But part of the reason I ended up doing that was because my resilience was particularly low, which is, you know, quite bonkers really when you think that I was living and breathing resilience, but I didn't necessarily spot my low resilience in myself. And then this year, with this pandemic and lockdown, what I realized very early in lockdown was that the stress that people was under was really impacting on mental health. And I ran a few training sessions with a colleague back in March, April, and have been quite busy coaching people over the summer. A lot of business clients where employees have just got overwhelmed and overloaded with the stress of everything that is going on. So when I was made redundant by the AOR and I was looking at next steps, it kind of made sense to, and I could see that our community was struggling with the challenges of going back to work in an environment that is very, different from what we're used to. So that's what led me to doing these sessions. And also I just recently run a 6-week beta course. So what are we going to learn today? Well, today, what we're going to cover in the next sort of 45 minutes or so is what are our biggest challenges as reflexologists at the moment. To remember that we're not alone, we're in this together. We're going to learn about resilience, what it is, why it's important now more than ever before. We are going to look at what are the benefits of really working on your resilience now and how to use the bounce model of resilience that I created back in 2012 and still use with my coaching clients today. So I did a little bit of a poll of our reflexology community recently, and to find out just how badly affected people had been by the situation that we were in financially. And, not very many people got help out there, only 47% actually got any financial help. So those that got financial help, where did they get that help from? Well, some got it from the self-employed scheme. Some got it from living off savings. A few people had pensions. Some people had benefits. But, most people struggled, as we know, and are continuing to struggle. Those who didn't get financial help seem to have been very bolstered by partners and, again, savings. And for those with no savings and no partners, it was obviously benefits. So financially, that is a very stressful situation to be in. Then we all know that the extra things that are being asked of us, and quite rightly, obviously the nurse in me and infection control totally understand why we have to do what we have to do, but it doesn't half cut into our profit margins, doesn't it, when we're seeing less people and then we're spending more money because we've got more masks, more washing, more cleaning products, more sanitizer, etc. So of the 83% of the people that replied that were back to work, again, people are saying that, it is very challenging. And certainly even in myself, I've noticed that it's more tiring than it was before. And talking to participants on my Beta Trailblazer course during our Friday coffee and catch-ups, many said that at the start of the course, they'd felt very out of sorts, very overwhelmed, very worried and anxious, but that by the end of the course they were feeling much more positive, more in control, and more able to deal with all the different challenges that are being thrown at them. So what are all these challenges that we're facing? I'm going to just click through.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt a moment?
Yeah.
There's quite a few comments saying that we're struggling to see the slides. We've got your notes more than we've got the slides. Is it possible to tweak something?
Oh, right. Okay, hang on. It's doing the wrong.
Jump in because it's...
Yeah, it's because my chat box has disappeared as well. So let me just redo that then. Sorry. I do apologise. No, good job that you did, because otherwise, I say, now I can see my chat box, but before I had my chat box, it was on the screen. So let's do that. Let's try again, because you should be looking at that screen. Are you looking? Can you see that one now? What one are you looking?
That's great.
So if I do, so you look, tell me what slide you're seeing.
That's your introductory one.
Okay, right. So
model.
that is completely different from what I've got on my screen. So bear with. Let me stop sharing again and come back to share screen. Right. Let's try that. We are going to right. Now which slide are you seeing?
Still the same one, the first one, your introductory one.
First one. Oh, right, hang on, let me. Oh, technology. This is so annoying, you know. It's all right, dear. Right. Come on. Now which one?
Fantastic, that's it. I've got biggest challenges.
Biggest challenges at the moment. Okay.
Anything?
Now you've got that one, but then which one? Now I am on a completely different one over here. Oh, resume slideshow. Right, I'm going to come out of this PowerPoint and start it again. Stop screen sharing as the shared window has closed. Okay, right, bear with me. And I'm going to open it up again. And that one. Let's do slideshow from the beginning. Right. Now, thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate you bringing that in because it should not have been doing that. And I apologise for getting so far and not realising. So now, if we go on, what are you seeing now? Are you just seeing the slides now?
We're still getting your notes, but I'm not sure if anybody else thinks it looks a little bit better on the slide.
No, we shouldn't be doing, shouldn't be getting mine. We should, that's the one we should be. Oh, for heaven's sake, this is so bonkers. Right. Now what are you seeing?
Same as last time.
Same as last time, right. Okay, so let me change all this then so that I don't know why this is doing.
Sorry, I can't offer any help. It's a long time
No,
since I've
I
done
know.
anything
It's
like
one
that.
of those things where it's got this up. It's got it up 3 times. It's got screen 1, screen 2, and it should show you screen. Should show you this one. But now, are you still seeing the presenter's view?
Yeah, we're getting the slide still with some notes underneath, but it looks a little bit better on that one. I don't know if you want to go with that and see what people think.
Helen, do you mind if I give a suggestion? It's Pam here.
Yeah.
If you go back to the screen that you had just up, there's a little button that you click to make it a full screen. If you go back to what you just had up.
Yeah.
You know the slides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I've got mine now, that's full. Isn't that what it's supposed to be, that we just see the screen?
You're meant to just see the slides, yes, but I've got a completely different slide up. Okay, there we go. So are these slides now moving?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, right. That's completely different from where I am. So no, let's just go with that. Right, so So what are our challenges at the moment then? Oh no, this is, oh, there we go, right. No, it's not letting me move on. Oh, for goodness sake. Right. Okay, I will do the best that I can. I'm looking at something completely different to you. So if every now and again, and I've got two screens, so if every now and again I look completely cross-eyed, bear with me, because that's exactly what I will be. So our biggest challenges, obviously, at the moment, you know, we've got worry about fitting people in, our finances, and more than ever now, I personally truly believe that we must look after ourselves. We know as therapists that the energy in our treatment room is really, really important. And the current climate that we're in at the moment, with all of the awareness of growing COVID numbers, etc., etc., and people testing positive and having to do all the risk assessments, the challenge that we face is that if this is your amygdala, folks, at the moment, our amygdalas are firing off like this every few minutes with all the stressy messages that are out there. Yeah. And on the edge of your amygdalas, there sits some little receptors, which are called amber receptors, and they act a little bit like meerkats. Yeah, they're like constantly on the lookout, you know, oh, where's danger, where's danger. And the way that our brains work is those little amber receptors are, every time our amygdala is fired off, they're looking for more fear, more, because we are in a stress situation and it could get even worse. So they are on high alert. And the challenge that we face at the moment is that this is ongoing. And all the time that those little ambers are up, we are depleting our neurochemistry. We are running the risk of developing mental health problems and trauma, etc. So now, more than ever, as therapists, it's really, really is important that we look after ourselves, so that we have got plenty in the tank for looking after our clients as well. Managing our own mindset and our own well-being and our own energy is going to be key this winter, because we are going to be living with COVID-19 for a very, very long time. If you look at the flu pandemic of 1918, that lasted 2 years. So that's 2 years of being in a very challenging situation for everybody that is involved with it. And that's not just us, but it's also our clients as well. So it's a really delicate balance, because our clients need us now more than ever before. The world needs reflexology now more than ever before, because it is, you know, we know as reflexologists the power of our therapy, but also the safety of our therapy, from being, you know, down by the feet and, you know, wearing our masks and doing all our cleaning. But actually, you know, we're a very safe therapy for people to have at a time when they need touch more than ever before. So let's see what comes up now when I do this. Da, da, da. And so, keeping our clients safe, keeping ourselves safe. A little note on income and people worrying about clients having the money for treatments. Research by the Health Foundation in 2018 found that 1 in 5 people in the UK who are in work live below the poverty line. Now that's quite a shocking statistic when you consider that we are a Western country. And that was in 2018, when we were not in the middle of a pandemic and we weren't in the middle of quite a significant economic downturn with a lot of people being made redundant. However, on the upside, in 2017, the College of Medicine estimated that around 9 million people in the UK were using complementary therapies to help support their health and well-being. Now, those people are choosing to use their disposable income on supporting their health. My belief is that if you're passionate about your health and you know how important your complementary therapies are, that's not the thing that you drop when your finances get tight. You might lengthen the time between appointments, but you seldom drop it completely because you really know how much you need it. So I think we can say that our clients will continue to have reflexology even when the times get tough. They just might increase the time between them. We're also at a time where people are starting to really understand how important their health and well-being are. I personally have seen quite an increase in clients. I probably had 6 new clients this month, which is really unusual for me to get 6 new clients in 1 month. So I think there is a huge opportunity for us as a reflexology community to be there for people. And whilst we can't talk about some things because of advertising standards, if you look at the AOR's lovely slides, it's probably one of my favorite social media slides that the AOR has ever done. This to me sums up why reflexology is so key now. People are feeling really tense and really stressed. We know that an hour of reflexology can reduce that tension. We know that the only way to switch off your stress response is relaxation. You know, that you need the slow, deep breathing and the slower heart rate to get that stress response switched off and that dear old amygdala all shut back down and not firing on high alert. So there's a lot that we can do. We've got a lot of people, a lot of research showing that mental health is really starting to deteriorate for a lot of people. And yet we know regular reflexology can help with our mood and certainly, definitely improving with sleep. So there are a lot of things that as therapists we can talk about now, we can blog about now. And I think particularly asking our clients to help us as well. If they're really appreciating having their treatments now and saying how safe they feel, and they say it verbally to us, then maybe we can persuade them to update their Facebook recommendation for us, or to tweet about it, or to share it with a friend. One of the things I do with my clients is they all have little vouchers which they give out to their friends, which say, you know, if you book a reflexology treatment with Helen, she'll give you £10 off your first treatment. And then the client also gets money off their next treatment. And I have one of my clients whose goal it is to at least every quarter to have convinced enough of her friends to come to me to be able to get a whole free treatment. And she pretty much manages to do it, actually. So it is a worrying time, but there is a lot that we can do to help ourselves and our community. What does the reflexology community want? Well, one of the questions I asked when I did my little survey was, what can I do to help you? And what people said was that they wanted support. Most people would really like their own treatment room in their garden, preferably in a fully insulated log cabin. So if you are already the proud owner of your own place, then you're rocking it, because people who are mobile or people who are using rented rooms are wishing that they had their own safe space. The steady, reliable income, well, in my experience, my reflexology has always been a little bit up and down. And the same with coaching. I can have some weeks when I'm really, really busy, and other weeks where I suddenly am not that busy. And what I've learned over the years is to go with the flow, and in the weeks that aren't so busy, to take those opportunities to recharge and do other bits and pieces. More than ever before, though, we do need to maintain that positive mindset and harness our subconscious to help us, and to find ways to shut out the fear and the scarcity that is out there. And we've got to remember that the energy flows where our focus goes. And that's why I truly believe now is the time when everybody needs to work on their resilience. One of the Beta Trailblazers did say this is her testimonial, that she felt much more positive about her business, has been more active promoting herself, and has had 5 new clients in the last 2 weeks. And the promoting self, again, if promoting yourself is something that you're not very confident in doing, it's generally because there are limiting beliefs there that are holding us back. And one of the things that we do on the Resilient Reflexologist is we start to look at limiting beliefs to help people to work through them. So a little bit more around our clients. In June, the Health Foundation did a survey and found that almost a quarter of the UK's burden of ill health is directly related to mental health problems at the moment. And as this is so prolonged, that's not going to go anywhere. Yet, as I said earlier, we know that whilst we're not counsellors, and people who need counselling, that's a different kettle of fish, but the power of touch and the power of a protected space for people is huge. They also found that for many people, they were losing their coping mechanisms of how they would normally deal with stress and anxiety, because of so many things not being available that they might previously have done. And certainly in March and April, the research that came out from what people were purchasing was that more people purchased alcohol and sugary snacks and unhealthy foods in March and April than in any ever year on record. So again, there is a lot that we can say in our blog posts and our social media posts around how reflexology can be, you know, one of your tools in your toolkits for coping with all of the uncertainty and the stress at the moment. And again, with isolation, you know, particularly for some of our older members of the community who were already feeling quite isolated, and then lockdown came, and now we've got various local lockdowns around the country. Again, we know the power, the therapeutic power of touch, and certainly my older clients are probably the ones that are most passionate about making sure they still have their reflexology, because, you know, I'm one of the few people that they see each month, particularly at the moment. So there is huge opportunity for us as reflexologists. Now, I listen to a lot of Brené Brown. If you don't know Brené Brown, Google Brené Brown and find her amazing TED Talk on vulnerability. And she also does, Royal Society of Arts has got a lovely little clip that she does on empathy. And she has a regular podcast. And in last week's podcast, she did something called What's on Brené's Mind. And she referred to an article that she had been reading about this current situation that we're all in and the challenges people were having. And she used a term that I'd not heard before, which is called surge capacity. And surge capacity is a collection of adaptive systems, both mental and physical, that humans draw upon for short-term survival in acutely stressful situations such as natural disasters. And it would appear, according to Anne Marston, a psychologist at the University of Minnesota, that at the moment we are using that surge capacity, but we're using it all the time because of the uncertainty and the chronic stress. And that's why people are feeling so depleted. And that normally surge capacity is there for acute situations, and then we go back to some semblance of normality. But at the moment, we are in surge capacity long term, and that's what's causing us so many problems. So I do think we have a unique opportunity to help ourselves and help our community here. So resilience. Now, can I see a chat box? Oh no, I still can't see my chat box. No, I can't see my chat box, so I'm just going to pass on this one because I have got no hope of finding my chat box at the moment, and as I have my screens vaguely under control, I'm not going to push it. So let me tell you what resilience is. There we go. So what is resilience? Well, first of all, it's not a personality trait. It is a collection of behaviors, thoughts, and actions that can be learnt. And if you were to put it into a definition, it's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Now, it is a big topic for psychologists, but the original resilience researchers were some people called Werner and Smith, two researchers who in 1955 studied a group of children who were born on a Hawaiian island, and they followed them until their 40th birthday. Now, the lives of these children saw them struggling with poverty, parental difficulties, illness, and many other issues. During that period on that particular Hawaiian island, they also experienced severe economic depression, devastation wrought by not one hurricane, but 2 hurricanes. They had changes to how people worked as well, because a lot of the plantations closed, and there was a mass development on the island as tourism came in. There was also changes in divorce law. So the way that families had custody to children changed because of the divorce laws. And what they found over that 40 years was that a lot of these children went on to do really well in spite of these numerous difficulties that were, you know, in their lives. And that was because there were certain protective factors that they identified. And these protective factors really form the foundations of resilience. So what did these children have? They had a very good problem-solving ability. They had the ability to accomplish tasks alone. They had emotional support from outside the family. And they had belief that one's can impact one's own destiny, which we call an internal locus of control. And that these children were very good at getting on with other people, so very personable. So if you were again to sum that up into a little definition of, you know, how's that, you know, in a nice key phrase. A resilient person loves well by having loving, caring relationships in their lives, works well by being successful in their job, plays well by having hobbies and enjoying leisure time, and expects a positive future for themselves. And so let's take that on board and apply that to our current situation. So whilst we're living in this COVID-19 era, what can we do for ourselves? Well, I think the most important thing at the moment is to be informed about your local area, because it is very, very different. One of my very good friends lives up near Newcastle, and you know, they have 1,000 and something active cases in her area at the moment. In my area in Horsham, we have 18 active cases. Sussex is classed as medium risk at the moment, but you know, there's, well, Horsham is 12 miles one way, they have 18 active cases. Worthing is 12 miles the other way for me, and they have like something like 38 active cases. So even in a very small area, it can be very different. So there's a lot to be said for knowing your area and knowing your community. I think more than ever, we have to keep calm. I personally say to my clients, don't watch the news in the evening. Watch the news in the morning, first thing, and then don't watch it again. Because if you hear doom and gloom and fear and scarcity and worry before you go to bed, your brain does not have time to process it. And that's why people have challenges sleeping. And yet, if we hear that our area, say we're watching the local news at 10 o'clock at night, and it says that, you know, the cases have risen significantly and there's going to be a local lockdown, what can you do at 10 o'clock at night? You can do nothing at 10 o'clock at night except worry. And then that impacts on your sleep. Better to get up in the morning, listen to it and go, right, okay, now what am I going to do? Because by then clients are up and you can ring them. So we need to manage our own risk. If you've got people in your world who are significantly at risk, then your risk is going to be higher than, say, somebody else's risk, you know. So it is about knowing our individual risks And there is a lot around vitamin D levels and obesity. I did share on the Association of Reflexologists page yesterday, and also Love Reflexology, an article written by the tutor on a nutrition course that I did in the summer, which is around how diet and lifestyle can be really, really important in reducing risk. And I shared it on my Facebook page as well for my clients, because there is a lot of evidence that shows that increasing your fruit and vegetable intake to 8 to 10 portions per day can go a huge way. And this is good research, this is strong research that shows that it reduces your risk of chronic ill health significantly. The average person in the UK eats 4.7 portions, no, 4.2 portions of fruit and veg per day. And yet to reduce chronic ill health, you need 8 to 10. So I think knowing these things and sharing these types of things with our clients can be really good. And, you know, sharing, you know, doing that for ourselves can be really, really beneficial as well. And one of my clients said to me the other day, well, how on earth can I get 8 to 10 portions of vegetables in a day, Helen? And I went through what I do, and I'm like, you know, you can have, you know, mushrooms and tomatoes for breakfast, or porridge with blueberries and raspberries on top, or that's 2 portions then. If you then have a healthy vegetable soup for lunch, maybe with a small side salad or some hummus, you're getting another 3 or 4 in. If then for supper you have something which has, you know, a stew that has got vegetables in it and beans and pulses. Beans and pulses are very, very good. Then again, that's another easy 4. And in fact, she would say, okay, so if I wanted sausage and mash, what would I do? And I was like, well, you'd swap out your white potatoes for sweet potatoes, because they class as a vegetable portion. You could swap out your sausages for vegetarian sausages if you wanted to. And then, you know, beans, cauliflower, broccoli, peas, sweet corn, you know, it's 5 there, easy. And actually, once I started to unravel it, it makes it much easier for people. People just need sometimes a little help to point them in the right direction of where their health is. So what are the benefits of developing your resilience? So it'll help you thrive, not just survive. It'll help you be more adaptable and have confidence to be more agile and adaptable. If it helps you, trust me, it will help your family. It will help you deal with the emotional roller coaster that we're all going through at the moment. It'll help you maintain surge capacity. I like that phrase now, when you need it. And it certainly helps you with your energy at the moment when we're doing cleaning, risk assessments, etc. And I know that because the trailblazers who did my August course have been telling me that they really appreciated how during these challenging times it has helped them to stay on top. So what is my bounce model of resilience? So essentially it works like this. If your resilience is that trampoline bed, then there's these little 6 people that hold the trampoline bed up. One of those is your beliefs and your ability to cope. Remember that internal locus of control. The next is optimism and goal setting. Who we're choosing to be in any one time. Are we choosing to be a problem-solving solution finder, or are we choosing to be a passive recipient of bad news? How we nurture ourselves. Reflexologists are the most amazing people at nurturing their clients and other people. They're not always quite so good at nurturing themselves. And yet, if we don't, we do run the risk of weakening that little person holding our trampoline bed up. Connection and support is really key, and enjoying and evolving and growing is also really key. So on the program, we unpick these things. So you're limiting on the for week 1, we look at our beliefs and how they influence us, whether they empower us or they disempower us. We all have limiting beliefs. Most common limiting beliefs are around not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy enough, not deserving of success, that in order to have money you have to work really hard, and also sometimes limiting beliefs come from sort of collective consciousness as well, that's just the way things are. And by recognizing where our limiting beliefs are lurking, we can change them and reframe them and help ourselves. When we release limiting beliefs unconditionally, it allows us to be us in a more true and authentic way. We also look in week 2 at the chemistry of our thinking, and how when you think positively, you release serotonin, and when you think negatively, you release cortisol, and that shuts your thinking down. We look at neural pathways and neural plasticity, and we look at how the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we feel, all affect the actions that we take, and how when we can change what we think and change what we feel, we can change the actions that we take. And it does work, trust me, it really does work. It really does make a huge difference to how we move forward. In weeks 3 and 4, we look at who we're choosing to be. We use a really cool system called self-mapping, where we look at our behaviors, habits and attitudes when we're at our lowest, and then we look at our behaviors, thoughts and attitudes when we're at our highest, and how, if we use these on a regular basis, if we use our high self map on a regular basis, it can really help us now more than ever to maintain that even keel when we need it. And as I said, we do nurturing as well, and looking at actually what it is that we need. The more we know ourselves, the easier it is to make sure that when we are really busy, we are really stressed, and we are living in uncertain times, we can make sure we have the things that fill us up and refuel us. So say, for example, we are quite an introverted person who needs peace, quiet and time alone, and yet we've got people working from home, partners working from home, etc., and our space just isn't our own. Well, when we know that as an introvert we recharge by alone time, then we can make sure that we fit that in, whether that's a walk outside, or spot of gardening, or just sitting quietly in the garden with a cup of tea, or on the balcony with a cup of tea. The more you know yourself, the easier it is to make sure that you can keep your resilience really strong. Weeks 5 and 6 are around connection and support. Humans are wired for connection. You know, there is a neurobiology to humans and connection, and the way we are living at the moment is putting that truly at risk. And yet there are ways, even in these discombobulated times, when we can reconnect, and we can make sure that that connection stays strong. And week 6 is around enjoying and evolving, and seeing the little slithers of joy and success that are in every single day, even on the worst day that we have. So this is what one of our participants said. It gave them lots of positivity and affirmation of what they could and can be. So how can you use it? Now, I know there's going to be some people, for this is all you're going to want to do, okay? You just want to take this and go, and that is absolutely fine. This is my gift to you. This is what I call the checkup from the neck up. I have it on little postcards that I give to my clients and I send to my coaching clients. And it's like when life throws you a curveball or a challenge, this is what you do. First of all, you ask yourself, what are my beliefs about this situation? Yeah. Are my beliefs empowering me or disempowering me? I will send you the slides, folks. So you will get an email later today with the slides on. So what are my beliefs about this situation? Are they empowering me or disempowering me? If they're disempowering me, how do I change them? How do I look at this from a different perspective? What positive outcome am I looking for? Even on the worst day, even in the most challenging situation, there is always a positive there somewhere. Who am I choosing to be? Am I going to be that resilient problem solver, or am I choosing not to be? And it's fine if we're choosing not to be, that is fine, but we just need to recognize that we have choice and we have the power to, even when life is throwing us curveballs left, right and center, we have the power to choose how we feel about this. How am I going to nurture myself? This is key. I always say to my reflexology clients, when you are at your busiest and at your most stressed, this is when you have to up the nurture game. Yeah, this is when you have to make sure you have your healthy snacks ready. Make sure that on the Sunday before your busy week, you've done your batch cooking and you've got your soup ready and you've got your healthy meals all planned out. Because when you are busy and when you are stressed, this is when we know as therapists, the demands on your body are really, really high. So don't make your body work twice as hard by not fueling it properly. We know that what we eat affects our brain chemistry as well. We know it affects our gut bacteria and that affects our brain chemistry. So when you are at your most stressed and at your most busy is when you need to nurture yourself most. I call it acting and thinking like a power athlete. Yeah. So that you would never see an athlete before getting ready for a big championship going out for a McDonald's. They don't do it. They look after their headspace, they look after what they eat, and they are focused on getting across that finishing line. And when we have a busy week, that's kind of how we need to think as well. And when you start to think like that, it then becomes easy to get in the nurturing. Who are you connected to that can support and love you and help you? Yeah, where are your radiators and where are your drains? We've all got them in our life. We've all got that lovely friend who boosts you up, and then you have other people who, when you come away from having a conversation with them, you feel physically and mentally drained because they're more of an emotional drain. Well, if you are having a hard time, you need your radiators, you don't need your drains. And then how am I going to enjoy and celebrate the tiniest wins? Even if the tiniest win that day is I got up, I put one foot in front of the other, and I got through each and every hour. If we did that, that is still a winning day if that day was particularly difficult for us. So ways that I support in our community is I have a resilient reflexologist reflective practice community where we meet on the first Friday of each month to talk about our successes, our challenges. We're solo practitioners, and sometimes you just want to be able to turn around and say to somebody, Mrs. X, well, I was wondering. And it's really hard when you work by yourself because there is no colleague sitting in the treatment room next door to you who can help. So we have put together this reflective practice community. I also work with people, reflexologists, one-to-one, helping them overcome those limiting beliefs and helping them with their goals. And then we have the 6-week online program, which is the Resilient Reflexologist, which my lovely beta group have just finished about a week ago. So what do you learn on that? Well, by the end of the course, you'll have developed an awareness of your belief systems, those that empower you, those disempower you. You'll know about harnessing your subconscious for success. There'll be tips and tricks for a positive mindset. We look at speech patterns and language patterns that can make communication more effective. We look at our higher self and our lower self, nurturing, etc. So, how do I know this works? As I said earlier, my guides have been giving me feedback, and this is from one of them. I feel uplifted, more resilient, and more optimistic. So, you know, just those words hopefully will make people realize that the Resilient Reflexologist is worth doing. So, what have we got here? Where are you, slide? There we go. So how does it work? Well, every Tuesday morning for 6 weeks at 9:30, we go through one of those bounce principles, one each time. Yep. And each week you get handouts and exercises. I am a master coach and practitioner with Brian Main's goal mapping system, and he has an online system where you can have bronze, silver or gold membership, and everybody who signs up for my program gets silver membership, which is worth over £42, and it is really good system for goal setting. And then on a Friday, we have a coffee and a catch up for having those natters and chats around what we've learned that week, where the challenges were, is there anything else that anybody needs any help with? And yeah, by the end of the course, those who've listened to all 6 sessions and done the exercises and created their low self, high self, their goal map, gets 12 CPD points when they have sent their maps across to me. And then I also have a whole load of videos that I have shared with coaching clients over the years, using lots of NLP techniques to help with those shifting those limiting beliefs. So for World Reflexology Week, I've put together an offer. Now, if you were to go and do a personal development, resilience coaching, stress awareness course with other life coaches who are not reflexologists, you would be paying for a 6-week course, you'd be paying in excess of £500. But I know my community and I know that people are strapped for cash. So until midnight tonight, I've put that at just £59.50. And those who sign up today, there's 10 more places left for those quick people who want to also be part of the reflective practice community. There are more than 10 spaces on the whole course, but as an added bonus to the people who sign up quickly, then they get that extra sort of bonus there. So to sum up, resilience is your capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. A resilient person loves well by having caring relationships in their lives, works well by being successful in their job, plays well by having hobbies and enjoying leisure time, and expecting a positive future for themselves. This global pandemic is going nowhere. We will be living like this for quite some considerable time. Now, more than ever, we need to look after each other and we need to look after ourselves. Each of you has extraordinary strengths, courage, and stamina. But without support and without nurturing ourselves and understanding where the weaknesses in our bounce lie, we run the risk of getting burnt out and disillusioned and tired. And yet now more than ever, our community needs us. So resilience you can think of as being your superpower that is going to get you through this discombobulated time. So my challenge, ladies and gentlemen, is be the hero in your own life story. Step up and build your resilience. You will never regret working on your own personal development. It is the single most important thing you can do, is look after yourself. So let's see if I can find a chat box. Let's see, I'm going to stop screen sharing, and then if anybody wants to ask any questions, then please do. Fire away, unmute yourself, fire questions at me. If you don't want to fire a question at me, then type it in the chat box, which now I can suddenly see. Oh, I do hate technology sometimes. And I'll stop recording so that